Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming to Digital Retail Convention. And I welcome you all on board to this edition of India Retailing Presents Leadership Dialogue on RFID in Retail, Unlocking the Future of Smart and Connected Commerce, powered by Avery Dennison. As we all know, in India, retail is one of the biggest market. And if you just look at the technological innovation that's happening, RFID, as we all know, because you're all of you tech experts have been in the game, and it has actually emerged as a game changer. And from just being a back-end tool, and there used to be a time where nobody used to actually think of it because the evolution has been so much in the retail side. So from inventory, from supply chain, the factors and the catalyst that this particular technology plays is very much important. And to start with, I'll call with Bhaprita, and she'll have a presentation. And before that, I want every one of you to just introduce yourself and maybe what you are expecting from this particular roundtable, and then we can move to Bhaprita. We'll start with Kamraj.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ramiraj. I am from Style Bazaar. My voice is very loud. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, hi, I'm Ramirez. I'm from Style Bazaar, based out of Calcutta. This is a format which cater to all small towns and small city of India. We have 250 stores. What I'm looking forward is how to solve the problem of inventory because supply chain is under me all itself. So how to handle the things and how to track the product, what is moving to the stores, make the availability clear because metro you can always manage all these things, but in small town there is a lot of things happening. Connectivity is not there. Even if you have the technology, but it's not performing there because internet is not that great connections in that town. So those are the things I'm looking forward to I can get a solution for that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I am Vikash Kumar from the same company, Baazar Style Retail Limited, and I am heading IT there. So yeah, as Ramaraj briefed, actually we are actually catering to tier 3, tier 4 cities, and we are a value retailer. What we are looking for and what we are going to actually, we expect to brainstorm into this session that how RFID can help from supply chain to logistics to customer experience to pilferage, right? All the major KPIs for the retail, and probably will actually have the brainstorming to us that. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sandeep Agarwal from Wow Momos. As you are very well aware of the brand Wow Momo, I don't need to introduce about the brand. And obviously, today we are here to understand how RFID is going to help us and what is the future of RFID. It's just not a logistic tool, it's also from logistics to store to customer and to every touch point, it creates a dotted connect. So I think it would be a good brainstorming session today. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Rajgopal Nayak. I used to work as the CTO at Metro Brands Retail. Now I work as a VP for alliances and strategy at a deep tech startup called StackU. We had implemented RFID, did a pilot, and we had to shut it down, right? There were a few issues which I want to see how maybe Avery Dennison has done something in terms of attenuation that happens with the water. I mean, if I have an RFID tag and I keep my hand over it, it doesn't get detected, right? Or for that matter, metal containers. Maybe something unique has been done over there that can help us. Thanks.
Uh, Hi. Very good morning to all. I'm Raghav from V-Bazaar Retail. So we are into the fast fashion value format, and our stores are in tier 1, 2, 3, 4 parts of India. We have close to around 135 stores at 10 lakh plus retail space square feet. So we operated anywhere around 40 to 50,000 SKUs at a store level, mainly apparels and home furnishings. So as for us, again, being value retailers, the margins for us is very tight. So my agenda would be to know if we can actually implement this for certain categories, or maybe start with a few categories at a more cost-effective way, because the volumes would again be very high. And again, knowing that most of the value format or discount retailers globally have started implementing RFIDs. So what's the future, and what benefits can we take, and what's the ROI again that we can get? So yeah, thank you so much.
My name is Rupendra Nigam. I had the IT in Spykar Lifestyle. We have done the evaluation of RFID, but not started due to multiple reasons. We will discuss here and get some more knowledge how we can get the benefit from the RFID. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mandavi. I manage the enterprise applications and infrastructure for Shopperstop. The thing that I'm looking to get out of it is like we also evaluated RFID last year, and it did not work out for certain categories. It did not work out for certain supply sources. So I wanted to see how anybody has any idea about cracking that.
Hi, I'm Kunal Mehta. I head the IT at Arvind Fashions. We've just started our RFID journey in terms of evaluation and creating a roadmap for it, but we plan to go full hog and get it done probably by Diwali or before that. So huge expectations on that. I think you guys are already aware of it. So just to learn from everyone in terms of either what mistakes they've made and we can try not to do those, or what's the best way to do it. So happy to learn from all of you and listen more. Thanks.
I guess as Raghav has mentioned, the panel, if you look at it, it's a vast category and a very versatile category from food, fashion, value fashion retailer. I'll now call upon Bhavprita. She is the director, APAC region for Avery Dennison. And thank you all for participating in this and coming out with your expectation. And now over to Bhavprita.
Hello everyone. Thanks a lot, and it's very heartening to see that actually some of you are thinking. Everybody is in the journey of thinking to having done something, and as Kunal said, at implementation stage, right? So our objective here is to understand more and understand directly, right? In your journey, wherever you are, what are the challenges you are trying to solve, or you want to leverage the technology? And if you have dabbled in pilots and some of it you have done, what has been your experience, and how? And of course, bring what what we do globally, and we are doing with many players in retail and other industries as well. So we'll begin with the introduction. Yeah, let's go ahead. It's very difficult to see here. But every Dennison is a material science and digital identification solutions company. That's our identity now. So every Dennison primarily aims at solving these four problems. So we do not identify as just the product which you make, but eventually we are offering solutions which solve one of these four problems: optimizing labor and supply chain, reducing waste, advancing sustainability, circularity, and helping brands and consumers connect. Uh, This is a snapshot. Every Dennison is a 90-year-old company. This year we are celebrating our 90th year. We began in labels. So the Stan Avery, who was the founder, along with 3M, you can say these two companies have shaped that market. About 20 to 25 years back, we started getting into from label to intelligent label is what we call. So when the label is, we realized that label will no longer be a piece of paper with some information, but actually it will be a carrier of data. And that's where then we started moving to RFID. Today we are one of the largest manufacturers in RFID. And just as 1935 it started, we are a US headquartered company, but present in more than 50 countries. And in India, we are present for more than 7 years. And in RFID in space, about 7 years we have been working. And any adoptions which you see, we have been part of those adoptions. So we also have our own learning here. Manish, cover.
Okay, again, thanks everyone for joining in. So as Bapita was talking about AD, so we have moved more from a company which was just providing the labels to a company that provides the solutions. Now each of one of you has a different set of problem, right? So we are into the space of now solving the problem, solving the key use case for the customer. These use cases, if you see, are optimizing supply chain efficiency, reducing the waste, connecting the brand and the consumer, and sustainability, circularity, and transparency. We are not just limited to one segment as such. We have a global expertise spread across, and we went across the segments like apparel, general retail, food, CPG, logistics, healthcare, automotive, and we'll focus more on the retail here being, the part of the discussion today. So now the supply chain solution, there are two kind of solutions related to RFID. RFID is a uniform, it's a enabler that not just enables one part of your supply chain. It actually enables you to transform your entire supply chain into the value chain. There are two parts to it. One is related to the inventory, where some of you would be talking about. We'll be discussing more in detail on how the inventory visibility is of prime importance when you are looking for a good bottom line, right? Why every piece of inventory counts. And RFID allows you to track, trace, and have a chain of custody over the entire flow, right from say factory to the point of sales, and in today's world even back to you when it comes as a returns. The other part is consumer solutions, which is becoming or gaining a greater traction. In the world, when it started moving from say brick and mortar towards online, the greatest challenge many of the retailers are facing, how to bring back the consumers back to store. What are those differentiating factors? What are those technological shifts that you can create to bring back the customers? And that is where RFID allows you to create this varied or valued customer experience. Could be smart checkout, the trials room, which you most commonly see, how you can burst the queue, because the worst part of it is when the consumer is able to find the right product, one part of it. But when they see a long line and they just drop out, which means a short sale is gone off. So how to ensure the consumer is able to close the transaction? And then there is brand authentication, reuse and recycle. These things will keep on coming in as you will see more and more forces, government initiative around circularity, sustainability, and having authentication of your product more so in the online channels you see right now. I mean, we are always skeptical about whether the product is right or wrong. The brands, I mean, you don't know by the look and feel of it, right? RFID also allows you that power of not being able to be copied just the way like QR code or the barcodes are getting copied these days, right? And in terms of the service offering, as we said, we try and solve problems. So we are not someone who are just force fitting the labels or the hardwares, though we are present across. We have our own labels and tags portfolio, more than 1750 patents by now, and almost across all. So a lot of questions comes across beyond apparel what, but then there are labels for apparels, not apparels, for say chemicals, for metals, there are different tags which is present. So this is where an OEM creates a differentiation. We are not a someone who is a reseller of the tag, so whatever I was in stock, I just make use of the same for everything. There is a specific tag for a specific purpose, and there is a physics behind it. We have our own hardware, we have our software for your DCs, and software for store. Ankit will talk about it in detail as we move ahead. And then we have our implementation services, where it's not only about having a good local team, it's what we bring is a global expertise. We have been part of more than 100 of the global programs. So there is an expertise across implementation. We want to make the program successful. We are not there only till the point of implementation. There is much more beyond. Moving ahead, as I said, like why Avery Dennison? And the first thing starts with, as I said, like we are a market leader. We want to shape this industry. We want to create this industry where people are able to utilize RFID in the best way possible. So as you say, we have more than 100 plus RFID programs being part of market share of more than 65%. And we are invested in RFID. We see this as a technology that can solve a lot of problems that we'll be talking about today. And that's why a lot of patent, R&D, manufacturing. In fact, we also opened one of the manufacturing hub in Pune, and I'd want you all to sometime maybe take a time out and come and see in Pune how we are actually manufacturing the labels, right? We have the most experienced RFID team, of course, because we have been part of the most of the implementation. So the team knows what to do, what not to do, and how to do. All of these are very important while we talk about any implementations. Market tested stat, yes, because of course our solutions are there in the market, so it's tested for scale. In fact, we are doing one of the largest RFID transformation program in India, spanning close to 500 stores, more than 180 factories, and 4 DCs for a large retailer. So not here only in India, globally as well, we are doing for multiple brands. So all the stacks are tested for time, right? We have a deep partnership. We have been in India for more than 25 years. We have been in globally for more than 90 years. We believe in partnership to bring out the best for our customers, and we have grown our partnership across to offer the best of the solutions that can be offered in. Committed to India market, of course, goes without saying. We are investing, as I said, we have opened an RFID hub, which means that we deeply believe the ecosystem in India is on the verge of transformation. It's changing. There is going to be a shift, and we are just at the cusp of it. And we want to be strategic. And this is a slide, I mean, this is the part I want to talk about, is the strategic RFID partner. So we are not an execution partner. Our journey does not end where we are just implementing something and we are going off. We are a strategic partner. We believe in value creation. We believe in advisory. We walk hand in hand with you to ensure that the value that we have talked about before getting into the program are getting realized. So that's our core. And we are trusted again, Fortune 500, and always being in Fortune 500 right from the start. This is a normal journey of how it goes about, and the key differentiator I'll want to bring about is when you talk about any execution partner, the journey starts and ends here, where it starts from the source tagging, and once the solution is done in store or DC, that ends up. Our core here is that we are part of the RFID understanding. When I say this world, we prepare a business case. We don't go ahead and say, okay, please implement RFID. We do a process study, we get into the business case, and if it has a net positive, then we sort of go to the customer and say, yes, please, this can be looked into. And as I said, we don't stop here. Even after the program is being done, we offer a lot of advisory and problem solving, benefit realization, ensuring the best of the use cases from the global world are taken to India and can be implemented in some way which is related to the local companies, right? And then a lot of analytics and data insights around it, right? So with this, I'll hand over to Ankit to talk more about our solutions very briefly. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ankit. I work as a solutions manager at Avery Dennison. Just to give you a highlight about what Avery Dennison does in the RFID world. So we do end-to-end transformation journey, right? So we started with inlay and RFID tag, but we also went through the entire transformation and diversification. If you see, we do RFID tags, hardware, software, and professional services. The most important part is the tag, because this is the crux of the entire story. And I understood from Raj that you did some projects which failed, and this is where we want to bring in expertise. When we start with the right approach. We call it a fit for purpose, right? So each and every independent item is different. So we do fit for purpose RFID tag. We do field testing to ensure that whatever we are proposing is as per the expectation. We also do optimized hardware customization. So each of our hardware that we build for the DC or the store, right? It's customized as per the requirement on the software side or the hardware side. On the professional services, we provide consulting and advisory services also, right? And we also do a lot of integration work, which is our platform is ready with integration. So we are done with SAP, Infor, and a lot of WCS application. This is what I was mentioning in terms of the approach, right? When we use RFID tag, it's just not about using any RFID tag. It's about what is the best, depending on the application, what is the best fit for purpose tag, then what would be the required inlay, right? As it's metal, liquid, different variation of the category of item. We do step 1, we do step 2, we do step 3, which is also field testing. It's important before we propose to the customer, we do our testing and then share a report to a customer. This is how it is working. This is the stock accuracy we are receiving, and this is what the solution would look like. Coming on to the hardware portfolio, so these are what we always work on every day. It's not about just a box selling. It's about experience-based selling. So all our hardware is specific, right? If you see mobile HDRC, it's being used to do a stock take at the distribution center. So it is a battery-based device which can actually be rolled over, works on Wi-Fi, can connect it to a SAP or a backend WMS. We also have RFID tunnel, which is inline verification, and the performance is 99.9% plus that we are actually sitting and we are actually hitting right now with one of the retailers in India. The RFID chamber is again for this cross verification. If in case the volume or throughput is not that huge, we recommend chamber, RFID chamber. So every solution that we provide is backed up with a strong business case, right? That's what. Coming on to the software part, we have one of the world tested at scale software solution for DC, which basically improves your shipping accuracy, your receiving accuracy, and cycle count. So all our devices work on this software, which is mostly hosted on cloud. It basically has a service model. It works on the software as a service model. It can help you increase your shipping accuracy, stock take at the DC, and also outbound accuracy. This is the store, and I heard someone spoke about we are mostly on tier 3, tier 4 cities, right, where the internet connection is not that great. So what we have, our application also works without internet. What we need is first download of SOH, stock on hand from an enterprise application, and then get into the store. So this is tested for 4,000 plus stores. So we are running at one of the South African retailer with 4,000 plus store. It has all the features that is required at the store, which is receipt, stock take, replenishment, DC transfers, right? And we're also coming up with the consumer experience solutions as well. So this is market tested, can work offline. Of course, you have to download the SOH version and upload as and when you are in the internet area, but it works for the stock take purpose. Coming on to the solution implementation capabilities. So this is one of the most important thing that we bring on the table is something which is global. So we have unique global positioning. So we have global expertise and local delivery team which works hand in hand. So starting from program management, solution design, to subject matter expertise and change management. So each box that you see is very critical for executing an RFID transformation journey, right? Program management ensures that your entire rollout, starting from source tagging to the store rollout, is done in a perfect way. We bring in industry expert who has done big transformation journeys like Walmart and Decathlon, right? Who supports us on this journey. We also do solution design, which is backed up by business case. We don't just tell you to use tunnel if you don't require a tunnel. It's also what is the throughput requirement, how much do you require, and all those solution design is done as per the business case. Coming on to the subject matter expert, we have individual subject matter experts because we have been in industry from plus 50 years in RFID tags. We have SMEs for RFID tag who just works on RFID tags with inlay to choose what material it is, right? On the hardware, how do we increase the accuracy of the hardware? How can we bring more experience, and also implementation services. Also change management and support services, since it's a big change happening across the enterprise. We partner with the customer on this level, right? Where we bring in our expertise to drive successful change management. We also enable change, something called train the trainer model, where we create champions, regional champions, who will be responsible for training further and take the rollout further at the customer side. So this is about the solution portfolio that we have. Thank you.
As you mentioned, your voice is coming. Yeah. You are manufacturing RFID tags.
Yes.
So you are importing chips, or how you are manufacturing, and what is the cost of that each tag?
So first, we are one of the leaders in RFID manufacturing. So whenever you see RFID, Avery Dennison would be next to it, right? So we have been one of the As the presentation said, 1750%, 750 plus patents that we already have. Though the chip is imported because it's a chip, we manufacture the inlay in-house. So we have always also invested in Pune plant, right? We are doing local manufacturing now. So we have plants across globe, which is Kulim in Malaysia, we have in China, we have in Mexico, we have in Europe, but we have actually bought in a new plant in Pune, in Ranjangaon, where we are manufacturing this inlay.
What is the frequency of the tag?
It's 865, it's a UHF tag.
Sorry?
It's a UHF 865 megahertz tag.
Okay. So it will cover the denim.
Yes. So
And
again,
two denim in two rows will not cover both denim. It will cover only first row. How will
so this is exactly what I
ensure?
said is about fit for purpose. So when we do a tag, right? So we always do a testing along with the customer, right? So example, Levi's has also rolled out with us. So all the tags that you see for the global Levi's, not in India, but is having every Dennison tag. And it is being rolled out to around 250 to 2,500 stores actually, worldwide.
Success story customer in India.
So in India, it has just started, sir. If you know, it's like we started, the implementation started with Zudio, right? Zudio was one of the first adopter, which has adopted. It's just at a starting curve right now. And I think going forward with, Navnish also mentioned, we are working with one of the big retailer in India. We are actually doing the execution right now. I think we will see some strong value coming out of the RFID and the proof points, right? On what you need right now. Any case study is something which would come a year or two from right now.
Everybody is selling Judio. Nobody is selling out of Judio.
Zudio.
If you met 5 RFID vendor, everybody is selling. Saying I am selling to Judio, but not selling to Spykar, not selling to Shopper, not selling to Arvind. To why? And why Judio you are going? Why not other people you are
So
going?
we want to
it
come
means
to everybody.
either your cost is high, or you are not approaching right customer, or beyond Judio you are not approaching. Because you are in since last 7 years in India, and you don't have any case study, success case study with RFID in India.
Yeah, let me take that. Yeah, so that's a good question. See, it's in, and we have seen, we have seen the journey in US. If you take US, 80% of apparel retail, which includes brands and retailers, they have adopted RFID. And in Europe, about 60 to 70% has, but you should also see how much time it has taken. It has taken 20 to 30 years. Marks, and I'll tell you, Walmart was the one, which mandated 20 years back, but Walmart was not the first one to adopt. Marks and Spencer was the first one to adopt. And you will also, I will give 2 data points on why it says that it has its own journey and why it has taken that time. When when Marks and Spencer adopted in apparel, per tag cost was 25 rupees. Today it is less than 5 rupees. Even in US, it did not make sense for the other. It is about volume. When you have a lower volume, now Walmart came into it. Walmart has volumes. Volumes bring down the prices. Why Zudio is adopting? Because Zudio has today volumes, and that's where the business case is made. Adoption needs business case needs volume and a complexity of operations. So it's not that if you see here, there is literally no main retailer sitting here, because we want to take it, but it will also need to pass the test of business case. For all the brands, it has to pass the test of product, like what question you asked about the denim. There are other denim brands also evaluating and actively considering, and even globally it has done. So in 5 years, what we have done is that preparing this market ready for adoption. RFID is one of the most complex implementations you will go through. It has 3 components sitting, and it touches your every network. Your whole business operations will change. So it definitely, I don't know if I answered, but it is about time and how you need 1 or 2 success stories, and mostly it comes from a large players. But we are seeing that it is happening, and Spykar could be leading in the denim category, I will say.
Spykar is the #1 Indian denim brand. Okay, but if you put RFID or any project, what is the ROI and how much time it will take, and how third-party logistic and 3PL warehousing system will manage all this? Because infrastructure is also costing them, and so they are not ready to invest in that infrastructure. So how we'll manage this? And second is start with the RFID tag. Tag cost is itself is high. Suppose if we are selling undergarment and 250 rupees undergarment and we are putting 6 rupees tag and then infrastructure, then it is not giving profit too much, because apparel is 30% return. So if we are investing 100 rupees, you assume 70 rupees is your, and in that if we invest in technology and this much, we will not get profit. So ROI will not come with the RFID. RFID is just like GPay or Paytm on the bank account, I can say.
I guess, Bhavprita, sorry to cut you in. Before we move to the other speakers and your answer to this question, why don't everybody just come out with the challenges that they have faced in the particular category, and maybe then they can.
So
What I'm saying, sorry, what I'm saying is RFID for fashion brand which is selling average ASP of 500, 600, it's good to go. 5 rupees they can manage. But the case I'm talking about, Style Bazaar is selling 40% of product at 199. If I'll spend 5 rupees, so you have to do this case study before coming to, because it's like India versus Bharat. So you can't go directly to Bharat saying that I have RFID, you implement it. So basically that cost has to be managed somewhere. So those are the points which is really required to go to the market and get it presented to those people. I don't know. I mean, we are just looking at those options who can give us 1 rupee RFID. I'm just putting a number. I don't know, because that cost is really required to control. Thank you.
so similar, like a follow up to that, do you have a benchmark of a volume, that this is the volume, this is the price point where it becomes effective? Because then that's an easier, like a quicker one, rather than getting into a very a 5-6 week deep down where you first figure out. So is there a benchmark based on your studies?
So I'll take up this question around the pricing. See, one of the DNA of the way we work is we first go and study the process, because process for each of the organization is different. The level of complexity is going to be different, right? So to your question, the benchmark for a value retailer could be different. Benchmark for a premium seller could be different, right? But what we do is that what we do as a part of it is we do come up with a business case, and when it's a net positive, then we say yes, this makes sense, and it could be a function of couple of things, volume being one. The second could be your operational challenges or the problems. The third could be the operational overheads, which is currently being solved or you want to solve through RFID, right? The second part of it, this is all about the bottom line, right? There have been retailers who have also focused on improving their top line using the RFID, right? It's whatever you do, how you enable your supply chain. The ultimate aim is that are the products available when the customer is coming to purchase it? Are you able to transform that sales? Can you increase that sales by 1%, 2%? So if we are able to do that and we do through the business case, then to me, the cost what we are talking of 3 rupees or 4 rupees or 5 rupees 6, that becomes irrelevant, because the benefit is as high.
I think if
So
hello.
there's no doubt about it, absolutely. This is just for retailers like us who have done the study once and we've figured certain challenges, and I'd rather talk about those. So it would, like for you, it will be easier if you have a volume-based case to publish. Forget about the other two, because other two are very retail specific, right? For that retailer, challenges could be different. So like for Shopper Stop specifically, we have a large set of inventory that is not our own, right? It comes on a sale or return kind of a model, right? So at the end of the season, it goes back to my brand. What do I do? So there's a double cost for me. There's a lot of inventory that is non-apparel. So if I put on a tag and stick a tag, I will not be able to send that stock back. So these are real challenges. And how do you solve? So these two.
I guess Vikash has something to say.
No, adding to the same, the cost per tag, and especially for the value retailer, where the cost is 5 rupees or so. I just wanted to put one question to the panel because most of the retailers I have seen that they are actually struggling between whether to go with soft labels or hard label, whether I should reuse the tag to just adjust the cost. What do you actually recommend? Whether you should go with a soft label or whether you should go with a hard tag which can be reused to bring down the cost?
See, this, I think, our experience of RFID evolution in India, this was slowed by what you just raised. It was an excellent point. So you can say that the market was distracted by the question. We have to, thankfully, this technology is already adopted and has done that journey, and we must look at what happened there. There also it began with, because hard tag is short term, soft tag is long term. You know, it will appear when you are recycling that it makes sense, but in the long term, it does not make sense. And if you take the journey, everybody, even who dabbled, very quickly realized that it does not make sense. It's a short, what happens to any short-term decisions? That is what happened to it. Inditex, Zara was the last one major global brand which adopted, and it has just, we have worked for 10 years with Inditex, but they finally realized, after once you have invested and done that, India also, the largest retailer, went on that path and is at the stage of reversing that decision, which has been admitted to be not the right decision.
And
so
I know
that
which
is settled.
retailer you're talking about.
Yeah, so everybody knows. So soft tag, if you want to do RFID, and we are not saying because we make soft tag, even the ones who have tried have realized, and any of the, if you see what is happening in RFID, consumer and your sales uplift, which happens in store, you can do nothing with this hard tag. It is only an inventory side. So one point I want to make, which determines when you adopt. Marks and Spencer was not the biggest brand. Decathlon was not the biggest retailer. It is also about your approach to technology. Is technology a driver and a lever, a driver for your strategy? A small brand and a startup can also adopt. So it is like you have to be a tech evangelist. You want to be a company like P&G's consumer products. P&G's strategies, technology, as I mentioned, they want to be at the cutting edge of the technology. If you have that approach, you have to be an adopter of a new technology rather than a follower. And one point of why somebody adopts is that the company's decisions are shaped by it. You want to leverage it and you want to be the first ones to do it in your industry.
I think we live in a FOMO world where every boardroom player wants the company to be a tech-first company. Classic documented case of that is Nike, which some years ago said that we want to be a tech company that also sells shoes, basis which they let go of their lot of B2B connects and tried to do a D2C, which subsequently they said that it's a mistake. Sometimes we get excited, and there's a FOMO also in technology, which according to me should be avoided. Now RFID, right, is like a child, and it takes a village to raise a child. It's not just a question of technology bringing about change. If you want to adopt something as disruptive from a process point of view of RFID, you would also change the processes. Okay, small things start to matter. There is elegance in RFID in terms of scanning things on a non-line of sight basis. But with great power comes great responsibility. It also means that when I'm scanning over here, if the scanning power is not tweaked, if sufficient attenuation metal plates are not put into place, you end up getting garbage. That being said, like I said, for anything to succeed, the people, process, technology, all are important. RFID is just one of the enablers. How you tag your product. For example, since I'm a little bit familiar with footwear, the most elegant way to tag a product is to conceal it such that it doesn't affect the ambience or the look of the product, right? So one might say, rather than having a hang tag, it might be much more neater to insert it in the insole, right? All that works fine on paper. But if a customer wears that shoe and walks out, okay, no detector will be able to detect it, because the bane of RFID even today is metal and water, and we are 70% water, right? So now to answer certain questions that again, why are other retailers not doing? I would like to say that we have to ask ourselves that how are we willing to change our processes, okay, to adopt a technology. And RFID is definitely not a technology that you just put it and it will work. Yeah, thanks.
See,
I
if
guess
I,
Sandeep,
if
before you speak, I just want to know a perspective on before because if we talk about the food category and particularly when you're entering into the FMCG sector as well, what are you at this present of implementation? Before you talk about your challenges, and then maybe they can answer.
Yeah,
as far as it's
so
not going into the momos we eat, huh?
so I was about to come to that. Basically, we have our own ERP system and software which we are using right now. So, as far as I know and I understand, as per my knowledge, Starbucks, Coke, even McD's for that matter, and a lot of global brands have adopted this. I think McD's Japan has done this. I don't know if Indian FMB players are they doing it. I am not aware if McD's is doing it. So if a company is a brand, McD's, if it's doing in Japan, why not in India? And if this technology, and he rightly said it's not a technology, it's a transformation, retail transformation enabler. So it's a tool which is actually helping not we look this, I mean, most of the people look it from inventory point of view. As you said that it comes from SCM background. So we look it from logistics point of view. The inventory, the accuracy, the visibility. But for me, I would look it more at obviously SCM is a backbone of the retail industry, but still I would look it from a customer point of view, like buying online and picking up from the store, and maybe a lot of like shipping from the store. I mean, taking from the store shipping model, and even customer fast checkout. I'm looking from that perspective. So why the other brands? I mean, why the brands, Indian brands, are not doing it? So I would see it as a, I don't know, it's a cost, and is it? I'm not talking about this company, but I'm talking in the whole perspective, holistic view. Why people are not adopting it, and since you took 7 years to set it up, for sure it takes time for this setup. But why people are not inclined to do it? So that would be my question and understanding. And if it's so helpful, I would be the first person to go for it. But why people are not adopting it? There's so many retail F&B players. We are having 700 outlets as on date, and we are expanding like crazily. We open 25 outlets a month, and the food cost wastage. I mean, not food cost, the shrinkage, the theft thing, the loss, the uh, visibility, overstocking, stock outage issue. This actually leads to 10 to 15% of the sales, entire revenue. If I see, it's almost 10 to 15%. And if RFID is the answer, why are we? I'm not from an IT background, but I'm. This is my interesting subject, so that's why I'm here. And why people? The question is why. I mean, as you said that people should go for it. It's not that why we are not going with you for as a cost only from the cost perspective, but why there are not other players also making the case study. You might have a good team. Why not convincing us to go for it?
Sandeep, I'll try and answer that question also to a certain, just my views, right? About 5 years back, I was working for another fashion textile manufacturer. And again, the same thing, the FOMO part, right? Why are we not doing RFID, all of that? The question is, and a lot of times I feel it's actually not the technology which is to be blamed. It's really the business and the processes and the people who drive it, right? In most of the cases, people say we want to do RFID, but without doing an end-to-end study of how is it going to change, what is the ROI, when are they expecting results on that. Look, most of the times I realize the business always says, we've implemented technology and we want to see a result tomorrow. It never happens that way, right? So whenever you implement one, you got to look from the long-term perspective. One, the organization also needs to look at what all transformational changes they need to make within the business to get there, right? It's not just about buying a tag, putting it to a product and trying to sell it. You've got to look at the end-to-end product cycle, right, from the manufacturer to the logistics, to your warehouse, to your store, to the customer and the returns. And I mean, your part probably ends at the warehouse level because, after that, the end product is not what you look at. But for a fashion retailer,
the returns are also very high, right? So it's coming back into your system, and how do you work around that? So even at Arvind, when we are looking at that, and this was one of the first projects. The promoter came and said we want to do RFID, and I said, wait, hold on. It's great you want to do it. Do we know what it means to the business? Because it's a lot of changes, right? It's got nothing to do with buying a tag from there, soft tag, hard tag, and again, like he rightly said, right? Where do you put the chip? So even some of the retailers who've successfully done it now, and we are claiming that why are we taking this name and that name? Trust me, some of them have had failures. Those failures nobody talks about, right? But I know those failures because we speak in the backside of it, right? And so a lot of learnings from there that needs to come out. I think what you guys can probably do, which most of the retailers fail to do it end to end, right, is have that kind of a template which you can actually take to the customers, right? Today that is missing, whether it's you guys or a lot of other competitors of yours. When we meet them, they'll talk about the study and all of that, but there's already a 50, 60, 70% learning that you already have. When those discussions happen, a lot of times I feel that we're starting from scratch, right? And eating a lot of that bandwidth, which is not needed, right? So if those business cases, learnings from other retailers, maybe you don't take the name, we'll figure out the names ourselves, don't worry about that. But if those learnings come to us, right, that these are the mistakes the retailers made, because otherwise, what happens? Everyone's only talking about the good part, right? Oh, we did this with Zudio, and we did this with Bestseller and someone else. But nobody goes and says, what were those 10 things that some of those brands, which now have become a success story, did wrong? 2 years back, 3 years back, how did they fall? How did they come out of that pit? And all of that. That is never discussed. So if you discuss those things also, without taking names, right, that gives a lot of confidence that, okay, let's not do this. That's something they've already done. So a lot of questions that's going on in our head, or the questions that we probably not able to ask, are answered upfront by you guys, right? So that's just a summation that when you discuss with any brand in terms of what they should do, don't just discuss about the good part of it. Also say what were the mistakes that the brands did or in the journey that they had, right? So that there's more confidence on the retailer or whoever the player is to understand why this. Not just directly that this is our suggestion, but how did you reach that suggestion? After how many mistakes that someone else made? Because then that becomes an easy case study for us to understand. I mean, that's just a thought process over here. Because even when I'm doing it today and I'm looking at Arvind and I said I want to do it in 6 months or something, but we're doing a very hardcore study on what and how it needs to be done. Very well defined KPIs with a partner who's helping us do the initial study, even before we go and say, now we want to do RFID from tomorrow, right? So, I mean, at every part, not just RT, because IT is only going to be the enabler of it. You buy the chip, you put the chip, it's there in your SAP, it's there in your POS, and it's done with. That's the easiest part for us. But to drive that as a project, the supply chain, the logistics, your procurement, all of those players, the manufacturers, how are all of them involved? How is that entire cycle going to work? And, the entire design thinking process, part of it, that is what needs to come out, which I don't see any one of the players really bringing it out. So whether it's you or anyone else, I'm not just saying you, but in general, right? That needs to come out very strongly for any of these guys to really go and say, okay, let's do it tomorrow. Right now, that confidence doesn't exist. It's left to us to figure that bit out and, say, okay, I want to do it because I feel now I have understood my bit. But that's my understanding. I may still go wrong and, make some of those mistakes, which we don't want to.
But then you think,
well said.
But then you think the ROI, what you're thinking, is really that measurable to understand at that initial stage, or it should be just try first and then understand?
No, I
Because
never
after
do that.
investing,
Never ever do that.
So after,
look, ROI, you have to define what your ROI is, right? And it can go off track by maybe 10%, 15% here and there, give or take, because it may not be the perfect scenario. For anyone that I achieved everything on day one, there will always be some surprises. As far as you know, what is the long-term impact of what you're trying to do? Maybe the ROI, if it doesn't come in, let's say 1 year, it will come in 1.5 years. So you've got to take that much sensitivity into the business when you're implementing projects like these, because otherwise 1 year is not done and everyone stands up and says, oh, it's a failure. What do we do? What do we do? Let's cut it off. But so you have to have that.
It's not based on this parameter only.
Yeah.
Your sales is the ROI. So sales may be from other factor also. Customer walk-ins is good, or the target customer is coming. It's nothing to do with your availability. Somebody is not buying this. Somebody is buying something else, and your sales jumped. So those are the gray area of ROI calculations. Point is how smoothly this is functioning. The process improvement. Those are the things we have to see, and that is the ROI, long-term ROI we have to calculate.
See, you look at sales. Yeah, absolutely. You look at Decathlon, for example. That's the easiest one because we all visit that place quite often, right? Is also the customer experience. Now, that can't really be a measure of ROI beyond a point. That measure can only be when you get those 5 stars. When the customer gives it. But again, that 5 stars is not just for RFID. It's for the overall store experience and all of that. But the whole experience that, I put it in that box, took it, and I moved out, right? That's about it. I mean, we were talking about style reunion some time back, and I visited one of the Bangalore stores that they have, right? And I was amazed. The entire store is RFID. Seriously, you should. I loved it, what they had done. And again, similar product line to yours, right? They're on the fast fashion, on the lower side of it, probably closer to Zudio and what you guys do, right? The basket size is big. So every customer walking in, all teenagers walking in, 20-year-olds walking in, they pick up 5 products, 7 products, 8 products. Now, imagine scanning each of those products is going to take a lot of time, right? Here, customers are coming, putting it in the back over there, on the bin, and the billing is done. Look at the experience. If I have about 1,000 footfalls on a weekend, or 2,000 footfalls on a weekend in such a big store, and my billing just happens in no time, one, my sale is high, my customer experience goes high, employee experience is also much better, right? Because he's less stressed about scanning and all of that. So some of those measures are not measurable, of course, but the overall experience just goes up. I was like wowed, seriously wowed. It can be my competitor, but I was very happy to see someone really doing it the right way.
Yeah. So Sandeep, I want to put a take on your question. See, and this is not specific to RFID, right? We've seen for fashion retailer, planning solutions come and go, right? None of them have worked. Really, none of them have worked if we put our hands on heart and say, the moment you try and solve an external problem in your solution, it will not work. And that is precisely what RFID is trying to do. It's a supply chain problem outside of my ecosystem, but I'm trying to solve it internally, it won't work. That is where we are not cracking, and that is where, like you mentioned, right, it does take a village, and that's where you need to develop the outside ecosystem. If my suppliers today are happy supplying me with an RFID tag, I'll be very happy to adopt it, right? But just because they are not doing it and I have to be IT front, I will ask my warehouse to do it, does not work. That is the problem. The ecosystem is not ready, and that's why it's working only for formats which are 100% in-house. Formats like ours, it never works. That's the crux of the challenge, at least, and that's the reason why the template that Kunal also talked about, if you put a template in place already, then 70% of my work is done, right? I've done one study in 2024 that took about 8 weeks. I'm not going to put 8 more weeks of my time to do another one in 2025. I won't, right? That's the ROI gone already. So that is the problem. That's the problem. You never try to solve an external problem within your system. It doesn't work.
Raghav, can you speak about the challenges that you face in V-Bazaar?
I've been hearing, right? So everyone's been talking about ROI, but I think the real calculation for ROI would be the basis of the shrinkage I'm saving, right? So like we in value retail space, right? I believe Style Bazaar as well works at around 1.5% shrinkage, right? 1% is a target. Anything below 1%, 0.8% is a good shrinkage. But let's say if I implement for 10 stores, I implement RFIDs which had 2% shrinkage, and if they were able to bring it down to 1% or 0.5%, that's a saving on my X turnover for that particular store. So let's say my store does 10 crores a year, for example, and then I save 1% on that. So that's almost, let's say, 10 lakhs saved. So there has to be, I think, measured like that. And we can have a proper template. Again, in the template, we can add this ROI calculation. Further, we should also add, is there any multi-purpose capabilities with that RFID tag? You know, as you mentioned that, you know, we can improve our billing with that, right? I mean, do I need to scan every piece, or it can be just like, you know, kept on the desk and just like quicker scan? So my overall UPTs and, you know, my overall billing transactions done in a particular hour from a cash counter is higher. Because it's all measured again, right? For X number of cash counters running at X space, I can only get X number of sales in a day, which is my peak sales. So all those can be, you know, together put in. But the real calculation again, ROI, together put with costing. Because once you work with such huge volumes, again, every player might be different, even whether be it a Zudio or a Vishal or like, again, like us, value retail. For us, 1 rupee, 1.5 rupees should be the target price, because our ASPs are 200 rupees, right? And with 200 rupees ASPs, anything that goes above 2 rupees is like cutting more than 1% margin. And that does not fit because we work with less than 30% margins on majority of our SKUs. So I think that's the major point to be cracked, the costing and the ROI calculation, and then do a pilot run. So I think that's from my side, yeah.
I guess we have last some 10-15 minutes. Before that, Bhavprita, can you please conclude on, like all these people have mentioned about just an enabler. So how do you see just an enabler to necessity? And the second factor, you have still mentioned that in India, it is one of the toughest implementation. So where do we see the future in terms of implementation also?
I think very good discussion, and all the points were very valid and very true. My first, I think what we have learned is that, and we also have learnings, by the way. We have not brought in, this is just a, you can say, introduction session, but we have been doing work, we have been getting ready. We are already now doing work at implementation and at pilots and Mandavi across. So those are not only Shopper Stop's problem, but everybody's who sells any other brand, right? And not only here, globally as well. But you can say industry has been trying to solve them. My first submission is that the approach is very important. How, and that is where why why we are, Avery Dennison in this market is working as a solution provider starting at advisory, because if that is not done correctly, and when today the industry is very small, there are few system integration partners, and small businesses have to sell something, right? They have to implement something. They are not in the best position to do a right advisory, which takes an investment and expertise. So that is one. How do you approach soft versus hard? Does it make sense? A study before the decision, right? If you remember that arrow slide, that evaluation stage, does it make sense? We actually tell a brands, maybe it is not right for you at this volume, or say that at this stage it becomes right. One is that approach. Second is, we have to stop looking at the most asked question to us is the cost of the tag. So because there is a physical product in software, in anything, you are not seeing like that, right? Because it is, technology is hidden in a label. It gets talked like what will be a price of a label, right? Some people say we pay 20 paisa. Now it is not, we are not comparing. It is a technology which is inside the label. It just comes in a form of a label. So you should look at it as a technology. For any technology, it's not the price of a unit, but what value are you going to get out of it, and that requires you to go, that much investment has to be done to do a thorough, even theoretical ROI, whether it makes sense at this scale of business and this type of business you are in or not. That is the second. Do not look at cost of the tag. What value we are going to get out of it. It is not an investment in per rupee. It is actually what is will come. And if you see in a value model, that is the correct way to look at. So that is the second one. And your third point is that why nobody is adopting, right? Everybody is waiting for someone else to adopt. The second most often question asked is that is anybody any of my competitor is doing. So this is the opportunity. That leadership position is open. Who will be the first? They will always be second, third, fourth, but nobody takes away the first position, right? And why Trent? Because it threw the hat. And then it took that, why Marks and Spencer? And when I said that companies adopt, companies don't adopt. Leaders adopt in those companies. There are leaders, a leader in Decathlon, leader in Marks and Spencer, leader in, at that time, who said that I am going to implement technology and that will be my legacy. So you are those leaders, right? And I will tell you how much this one Trent and then the ones we are working with, you differentiate then only that how you have taken that leap of, it's not leap of faith, it's just starting ahead. It will happen. It is matter of time, but there was no barcode at one point of time. Can we imagine today operations without barcode? RFID is nothing but a digital trigger. There was no QR code. Can you imagine QR code? Without QR code our lives? We cannot. So it is matter of time. In same retail industry in US, RFID is what barcode is. It's the trigger on which the operations run. So it's matter of time. Everybody takes their own decision, but some are ahead. The more ahead you invest, more you can say you can bring use cases to it, and you will be ahead in the game. That FOMO will be with others, not there. So it boils. I like what Ramraj said also, that it is not really, you can never pinpoint anything which happens is only for one reason. But even if when you implement it and you have had overall growth, it has to be one of the variables, right? So that is where Zudio started with RFID, and Zudio's growth. It's not that we can say that, okay, because of RFID, but then RFID did contribute, and the strategy was also to plan on a growth on leveraging that technology. So these are my three takeaways, submissions.
Like
given.
Bakrita, you've clearly mentioned that these are the tech leaders and the e-commerce expert that we are leading with. Last one question. We'll start from Ramraj here. Just one roadblock if we were to implement it tomorrow. So what is the first roadblock, just for their reference, so that they can work on it and maybe they can also improve, and maybe you can also have some sort of learning?
It's the mind block, in the company, because when something new is coming, there are a lot of people, because old system is going, why new is required. So that is the biggest roadblock in any company. So you have to be top of this thing, saying that positive, negative, everything, and make them understand that this is going to happen and this is good for you. So that's the biggest roadblock.
Sandeep?
The roadblock is CFO, who had control the IT but doesn't control the finance.
Yeah. These are really coming out.
We should have invited CFOs, I think.
See, I
Don't control the exact P&L, but they try to control everything of the IT mouse purchase also.
I guess that means to say that Rupendra has full trust in the technology. It's just the CFO.
No, I think what we need here, definitely we need a success story in India, okay, before we take any decision on this part. And as Kunal told, we need to have a framework and a template ready, right, for all the questions which are coming up for RFID, right? Because most of the savings, actually, it is coming up a notional saving, whatever we are saying, right? Customer experience, or maybe inventory, fill phrase and all. So if you have a success story linked with the notional saving which we are having in your template or in a framework, I think that will help taking decisions.
Sandeep, a shorter answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I need to actually leave. I have another presentation. I'm getting calls from images. So just search who is the top three and we'll follow you. So I just told her, get me the top three, I'll follow them.
Sandeep, I'll have a success story in 6 months. I'll take a loyalty from the retailers also and from Avery also.
So my only take on this is that there is nothing called as a pilot as far as RFID is concerned. One has to tag the entire supply chain before one can even test out the system on a consistent basis. So that is one of the, so which means one has to have deep pockets wherein certain of your tags go through your supply chain and go out without giving an iota of deemed benefit. So unless one does that tabletop exercise and is very clear on the approach they want to go, it's not a small journey, short journey.
I think it's an upcoming technology, definitely should be explored. And with the growing time, the acceptance in the market is going to increase by default, right? Because I'm sure with the acceptance increase, there will be a costing reduction as well. Again, think of the entire world, number of retailers, number of products, apparels is again increasing every day, year on year. So I think once the costing is fitting our unit economics, and when there is also more credibility, and again the need, the need increases as well for certain retailers, they'll be the first ones to jump in. And I think one should definitely experiment. And once you get that experiment right, then you go full throttle. That's somewhere I think we are agreeing.
Rupendra, roadblock other than finance?
Other than nothing is road blocking, because technology is working with business and business is supporting. Only finance is stopping.
So my suggestion to you is, why don't you take the risk and become the first? I mean, the risk is all the retailers, right? The investment is all the retailers. The disruption is all the retailers. Jump in, be the first, invest, and then you have a success story, right? Do that.
And one more thing, if you want a case study in India, and I am ready to start with you, but cost belongs to you.
Kunal, your points.
No, I think everyone's probably covered most of the things. My only thing is, RFID it's a journey. One needs to understand that, and one needs to, every organization will have its own journey. So one needs to figure out what that journey is and plan things accordingly. And everyone is different in some way or the other. So that's about it. I mean, just figure out what works best for your business. I think that's the most important part. But like I said, if you can work with the retailers, bring the learnings and the problems together on the page, that is the important part. Don't just talk about success. Talk about the pitfalls. Talk about what were the failures also that you guys have faced with a similar retailer. Then there's confidence. Otherwise, everything is hunky-dory. It's like getting into a marriage and saying, your whole life is going to be a honeymoon phase. It's not. In 1 month, the honeymoon phase gets over, and then the reality kicks in, right? So you need to understand what are those things also before we get into it.
I guess well summed up that RFID is still a journey, and as Bhaprita already mentioned, that this discussion is itself an insightful discussion, an insightful learning for you guys and for all the retailers that are actually on the ground. Thank you all for participating in this leadership thoughts, and it was a really insightful conversation for us, and as part of the learning, we've also got to know a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you for the participation.